Ever thought of growing your veggies? With all the pesticides and chemicals being used in farming these days, wouldn't it be healthier and more nutritious to do it? Whether you're a gardening freak or hoarding supplies for when the apocalypse hits, it can all be made easy by just starting your survival garden. It's just as cool as the name sounds too. Doesn't matter if you live in a small apartment or a villa, it works anywhere and everywhere. Hence, having the word survival in the title. Duh! And you can grow just about anything. No need to go to the market and wait for your favorite fruit to arrive. Everything can be easily accessible within the comfort of your home. And it's a great way to be creative, with like plants, a skill just as necessary as cooking your food. There are even books written about it that can guide you on what to do. And Field Guide to Urban Gardening is one I'd recommend. There's one thing that you need to keep in mind though: storage space. Do you have enough of it? You can't be growing large quantities if you don't have room. There are ways to preserve the food to make it last long, like freezing, but even with that, food loses its nutrients after some time. Don't worry, I've got ideas for you. You could also try dehydrating, pickling, or be creative and use lactic acid and salt to keep your vegetables fresh. It's a technique known as lacto-fermenting, and not only leafy greens, even fruit can be lacto-fermented. Wow, the survival junkies out there thought things through.
I'll make it brief. What exactly lacto-fermentation is? The key word here is lacto, and a lot of people are probably going to jump to milk. It's not milk. It's actually referring to lactic acid, more specifically lactobacillus. It's responsible for your yogurt, your sourdough bread, and cheese, guys. So while it's responsible for all that, it's also responsible for turning this into something that's preserved and full of so much more flavor you didn't even know was there. Now, basically all you're doing is submerging vegetables in brine, but your salt percentage is going to be determined by that vegetable. Now, you can use whatever you want, but it's going to change slightly depending on what vegetable it is.
Here's a list of some of the foods that would help you win in a survival of the fittest game. On the top are tomatoes. There are seldom any dishes that are complete without this fruit. Isn't it the first thing you buy when you go grocery shopping? Well, I've got good news for you. They're super easy to grow and even easier to store. I'm sure everyone loves sun-dried tomatoes, and they can be frozen as well. The best part is that they never lose their flavor. Then there's another one that's even more important: garlic, the superfood. Oh man, I don't remember a time I cooked without it. Do you? And not only is it known for its use in healing since ancient civilizations, it can also help in fighting off bugs in your survival garden. When it comes to storing, it's perfect too. Just freeze it. All in all, it'll be the most vital food you'll grow in your garden. Apart from this, if you're a fan of greens, you'll love this next one: spinach. One of the most nutrient-rich foods. Full of antioxidants, studies show that only 1 cup provides about 120% of the daily value of vitamin K and 16% of vitamin A. It can be made into a fine powder, boiled and frozen, or dehydrated. Isn't it just everyone's favorite vegetable? It can be used in cooking different kinds of pasta to making smoothies. You name it. Another one resembling spinach in richness is kale. It has vitamins A, B, C, and K. Not only that, it contains many essential minerals like copper, calcium, and potassium. It's an all-season veggie, but tastes best when grown during winter. The varieties it has, from red Russian kale to dinosaur kale, your garden will end up looking like a treat. Don't y'all agree? Since we're on the subject of nutrient-dense foods, how can I miss this? Green peas. These are excellent options for survival gardening. They're rich in fiber and protein and help in the breakdown of food once consumed. It can complement almost all dishes, and you can freeze them or dry them. It's up to you. Speaking of protein, it's also crucial for your diet, and the highest in proteins and perfect for growing are beans. The best part is that once you plant these, they fix the nitrogen in your land, making it more fertile. Oh yeah, these babies aren't called nitrogen fixers for nothing. This means planting these would help you grow more food. Isn't that cool? You can even save some of the seeds to sow later. Not only this, lentils also have a stellar nutrient profile. With 18 grams of it in one serving, they are the most wholesome food one could add to the selection.
Beans are almost the complete food, containing most vitamins, nutrients, and essential amino acids needed by humans to live. Beans don't take up much room in the garden either, as they typically grow vertical, so you can fit more in a smaller area.
To cook, and these could be used used in curries and soups, super fulfilling, and the best part is you don't need to do anything to store them. Next in line is one such food that's used daily just like tomatoes, onions, the most cultivated vegetable, and one that's the base for all the recipes ever cooked. Due to their versatility, they enrich every food they're combined with. I'm sure y'all can relate.
There's something special about a freshly harvested, crispy onion. We grow them without any chemicals at all, so they're organic, and I think that makes a big difference. Fresh and organic.
Green onions are also a favorite, and all of them grow the same. You can opt to use the newly formed greens or wait for them to mature into full bulbs. Apart from this, it's best to have a bit of sweetness to your survival garden, and what better way to do it with other than berries? If you've got a sweet tooth like me, these are the first things you'd want to grow. Be it strawberries, blueberries, cranberries, or raspberries, anything will go. You can use them to make homemade jams, milkshakes, jellies, or the go-to dehydrating or freezing method can also work. Loaded with vitamin C, these fruits are sure to curb your cravings. But that's not the only sweet thing I've got on the list. You better save room for the summer favorite, melons. Whenever I think of hot weather, the first fruit that comes to mind is watermelon. Everything about it is appealing, don't you think so? But of course, you can also grow cantaloupes and honeydews. The only downside to these is the storage. Since the water content is high, freezing them and defrosting them takes a lot of the nutrients away from the fruit, and it becomes kinda weird to eat. But dehydration of watermelon slices can be a useful way to store them. Another fact you probably didn't know is that its rinds can be pickled. Surprising, isn't it? I didn't know either. Their cultivation time is short though, late spring to the start of fall only. So if you plan on sowing the seeds, my only advice is to start early. Something necessary to plant is herbs. They'll have your survival garden aromatized in no time. No dish is complete without seasoning, and one can say that they add life to food. Basil, bay leaves, thyme, oregano, parsley, chives, mint, and so many more. There's also one starchy food that's always in our pantry, and one we probably can't live without: potatoes. I mean, can you imagine a world with no fries? It literally would feel like the end of all things good and happy. Energy-packed and potassium-rich, they're an excellent source of vitamins B6 and C. There's no wrong way to eat this food, and it doesn't require much to grow. It's one of the leading food crops in the world.
Key to growing potatoes is diversity. Grow different varieties at the same time and from year to year to limit a buildup of pests and disease.
My only advice to you would be grow what won't end up wasted. There's no point in doing the hard work if you'll leave the food to rot, so you'll need to make a conscious choice on what you want to cultivate. What can help is researching diet factors. You don't want to end in a calorie deficit situation. This would just make you tired or leave you feeling starved in the worst case scenario. The World Health Organization, or WHO, recommends eating 400 grams of veggies and fruits per day. This means if you're more than just one person, you gotta grow accordingly. Look at me being all expert-like. Well, these are some of the fruits and vegetables you can start your survival garden with. And here's hoping it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. We'll see you next time.